Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Milidam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Subhadantikam Mandeham Sri Gurum Sri Udapatakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadudam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shivishakam Vidam Sha Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhesya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Dhamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Om Tat Sat Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for today's Bhagavad Gita class. We are reading from chapter 13, text 3. Kshetrajñam chabhimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajñayo jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama. Okay. Sachi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Kshetrajñam chabhimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra nayo jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama.
Parag Prabhu, translation please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. O Shishan of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower of all the bodies. And to understand this body and this knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Christian of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That's my opinion. So Lord Krishna is telling that the Lord is also situated in every living entity, the heart of Hridesho, Hridaye, Lord Krishna says, he is residing in the heart of all the living entities. Okay, that he is also living in the heart of all living entities, and he is knower of all bodies. Why? Because he is there as Paramatma in each and every living entity. Not only in each and every living entity, but in each and every atom. So what's happening throughout this creation, both spiritual and material, he knows. He knows past, present and future. He is there always. It's all pervading. It's super soul, all pervasive throughout the entire creation. So I am also the knower in all bodies. See, there are two Atmas in our body. Let us take an example of our body. There are two Atmas. One is Jivatma, that is we ourselves, the self, and other one is Paramatma. Both have knowledge. The knowledge of the Jivatma is limited, only localized. We know only about ourselves. That also not completely, to a certain extent. Do we know completely about ourselves? We don't know. So our knowledge is very, very limited, and it is only to our body, limited to our body. Whereas the knowledge of the super soul, Paramatma, is not limited. It is unlimited, and he knows each and every living being, thing in this material world or spiritual world, about past, present and future. So that is the difference between Jivatma, Paramatma. Paramatma is all-knowing and Jivatma is localized and knowledge is limited. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. So if you understand that Lord Krishna is knower of everything and about us, our limitation, so that is called knowledge. This is my opinion. But generally, in the material world, what is considered knowledge? Now, if you do some graduation, post-graduation, PhD, all this material, so-called, you will get that, isn't it? All these degrees, so many so-called degrees. So this is considered knowledge. Is this knowledge? This is called avidya. Okay. This so-called knowledge can be used for our survival. But this knowledge will not facilitate us to go back home, back to God. With this knowledge, we can, make our livelihood, earn some bread and butter. Not more than that. It is not useful for our liberation from this material existence. So usually the material knowledge is called avidya, the spiritual knowledge is called vidya. But both avidya is also required, since we are all, in the grahastha ashrama, we are all living in this material world. We also need this knowledge, this material knowledge, right, for our survival. But the prime knowledge is the vidya, the spiritual knowledge, because that is what is required for us to get delivered from this material existence. But as far as a pure devotee is concerned, vidya is enough, because vidya includes even avidya also, in fact. Because those who are totally, if you see some 100 years back, so a few 100 years back, there are all these people, they were not going to any material education. They did not get any degree called MA, MBBS, or chartered accountants. They did not get this. Have you heard of this degree? At least some few 100 years before? No. But they were so intelligent. So they were so smart and they were so highly educated. They could, do anything and everything under the sun. Because there were education, even the material education was there in Gurukula. In our Shastras, everything is there. But all these things, they were using it in the right perspective for Krishna consciousness or God's realization. Apart from using it for the bare necessities of life, okay, for fulfilling the bare necessities of life, they were utilizing all their abilities and their faculties for pleasing Krishna. So that's only different. Nowadays, in the name of modernization, we are manipulating everything that is in the material world or in the nature only for our sense gratification. We have forgotten our goal. We have really forgotten what is our goal and where we are heading to, what is our destination. And we are totally entangling ourselves in this material existence just for sense gratification. So knowing ourselves, knowing Krishna and our relationship with Krishna and our goal in this human form of life is the prime knowledge that we have to acquire. So this is what Lord Krishna says here. While discussing the subject of the body and the knower of the body, the soul and the super soul, we shall find three different topics of study. The Lord, the living entity, the matter. In every field of activities, in every body, there are two souls, the individual soul and the super soul, because the super soul is plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Krishna says, I am also the knower, but I am not the individual knower of the body. I am the super knower. I am present in every body as Paramatma or super soul. So as I have explained, he is there in the body of every living entity. He is not the individual knower, but he is the super knower of all living entities. So one who studies the subject matter of the field of activity and the knower of the field very minutely in terms of this Bhagavad Gita can attain knowledge. So in our schools, colleges and universities, do we study about the soul, super soul, knower of the soul? No, we don't. What do we study? Maximum about the body, the gross body, how it is working, what are the properties, what are the components, how all these things. Only gross, not beyond that. No metaphysics. Only the physical structure of the body. But they don't know what is the source of this body, why we are getting different body, why people are in different position and statuses. All these things they cannot make out. They can only manipulate the nature and try to enjoy maximum, by exploiting this nature. They don't go beyond that. So they work only on a physical level to enjoy the senses. But this human body is not meant for sense gratification, but for self-realization. So this, truth we have forgotten. So the Lord says, I am the knower of the field of activities in every individual body. The individual may be the knower of his own body, but is not in knowledge of other bodies. So our limitation is that to a certain extent we know of our body, but we don't know what is there in other bodies. Okay, can I say, what Parag Prabhu is thinking now? I cannot. Or not Parag Prabhu can make out what I am thinking now. But at the same time, the Super Soul, the Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, who is dwelling in the heart of every living being, can know that what you are thinking, what I am thinking. So that's the difference. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present as a Super Soul in all bodies, knows everything about all bodies. He knows all the different bodies of all the various species of life. A citizen may know everything about his patch of land, but the king knows not only his palace, but all the properties possessed by the individual citizen. So when we do something secretly, beware that there is somebody looking and witnessing all your activities. You think that you are in a room, nobody is there, husband is not there, wife is not there, children are not there, parents are not there. Nobody is witness. I can do anything, everything. But Lord Krishna as Paramatma is witnessing all your activities. The moon, the sun, the directions, the demigods, and Yamaraj, Chitragupta, everybody is witnessing our activities. So don't think that nobody is seeing, so I can escape. No, we cannot escape anyone. We can escape husband, wife, children, parents, because they won't know. We can escape police, we can escape court, but we cannot escape the Supreme Lord as Paramatma who is there in our bodies. And we cannot escape all the demigods. They're also witness. We cannot escape the directions. We cannot escape the Yamaraj. We cannot escape Chitragupta. They're all witness to our activities. Okay, so he knows all the different bodies of all the various species of life. So not only human bodies, all species. A citizen may know everything about his patch of land, but the king knows not only his palace, but all the properties possessed by the individual citizen. Similarly, one may be the proprietor of the body individually, but the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of all bodies. So I can claim I am the proprietor of my body. Okay, but Supreme Lord is the proprietor of all bodies. So since I am the proprietor of my body, can I destroy this body according to my whims? Even that is not allowed. So how do I claim that I am the proprietor? I cannot do whatever I want to do with this body. Okay, I have no authority. So how can I claim that I am even the proprietor of this body? Okay, if I do something, then the police will catch me and the court will levy heavy fine and punishment. Okay. So I don't even have authority on my body, isn't it? So the king is the original proprietor of the kingdom and the citizen is the secondary proprietor. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the supreme proprietor of all bodies. Body consists of the senses. Supreme Lord is Rishikesha, which means the controller of the senses. He is the original controller of the senses, just as the king is the original controller of all the activities of the state. Citizens are secondary controllers. The Lord says, I am also the knower. This means that he is the supernover. The individual soul knows only his particular body. In the Vedic literature, it is stated as follows. Kshetrani hi sharirani bijam chapi subhashubhe tani veti sa yogatma tata kshetratnya yuchyade. This body is called the kshetra. This is a field of activities, that's kshetra. And within it dwells the honor of the body and super. So within this field of activities, this body, this physical body, who lives? There are two people. Who lives? Thakar Prabhu, within this body, who all lives?
Soul and the super soul.
Very good. Soul and the super soul. Okay. The distinction between the field of the activities, the knower of the activities, and the supreme knower of activities is described as follows. Perfect knowledge of the constitution of the body, the constitution of the individual soul, and the constitution of the super soul is known in terms of Vedic literature as jnana. So this is jnana, this is knowledge. Okay, what is knowledge? To know the constitution of our body, the constitution of our individual soul, and the constitution of super soul is called jnana, knowledge, as per Vedic literature. That is the opinion of Krishna. So not that, studying, going to some college or university and studying material science or other, acquiring some other material knowledge. That is okay. That is required for our survival. But that's not the real knowledge that we are, seeking. To understand both the soul and the super soul as one yet distinct is knowledge. How can we understand that? To understand both the soul and super soul as one yet distinct is knowledge. So both are one in quality but different in quantity. So that's knowledge. See, the soul and the super soul have same characteristics. Satchidananda. Okay? Just like a drop in an ocean and the whole ocean. If the individual soul is considered to be a drop in the ocean, the whole ocean is considered to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So that's the difference. In quality, both the drop and the ocean has the same property or the constituents, but the quantity in the ocean we can't fathom even, but the quantity of the drop we know. So qualitatively we are one with the Lord, but not in quantity. So this is knowledge. One who does not understand the field of activity and the knower of activity is not in perfect knowledge. One has to understand the position of Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer of nature, and Ishvara, the knower who dominates or controls nature and the individual soul. So we should understand the position of Prakriti, that is the material nature, Purusha, the enjoyer of the nature, and that is the living entity, and the Ishvara, the knower who dominates or controls nature and the individual soul. So Purusha, this Ishvara controls both Prakriti and the individual soul. One should not confuse the three in their different capacities. One should not confuse the painter, the painting, and the easel. This material world, which is the field of activities, is nature, and the enjoyer of nature is the living entity, and above them both is the supreme controller, the personality of Godhead. So the material nature, the individual soul, and the super soul. So we should not confuse. The material nature and the individual soul are under the controller of super soul. We are not independent. Neither the material nature nor the individual soul are independent. They are totally dependent on the super soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So it is stated in the Vedic language in the Svetasvatara Upanishad 1.12. Bhokta bhogyam preritaram chamatva sarvam proktam trividham brahman etat. There are three Brahman conceptions. Prakriti is Brahman, has the field of activities, and the Jiva, individual soul, is also Brahman and is trying to control material nature and the controller of both of them is also Brahman, but is the actual controller. So there are three Brahman aspects. So we have to understand in this particular context only. Okay. So this Brahman aspect we have to understand in this particular context. So one is the Prakriti, that's also Brahman because that's not different from Supreme Lord. It is also his energy only. Then the individual soul is also Brahman because we are part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. So there is no difference. Okay. And the Supreme Brahman, that is Supreme Lord Krishna. So all the three are actually Brahman, but the Supreme Lord or Super Soul who controls both nature Brahman and the individual soul Brahman is actually the controller. So in this chapter, it will also be explained that out of the two knowers, one is fallible and other is infallible. One is superior and the other is subordinate. Okay, so one is fallible, one gets destroyed, one has a temporary duration, or one is temporary, other one is permanent. So who is temporary? Material nature and the individual soul are temporary, but individual soul means the body, not the soul as such. Okay, the body is temporary. That is fallible, and the other is infallible. That is super soul. One is superior, and the other is subordinate. One who understands the two knowers of the field to be one and the same contradicts the supreme personality of Godhead, who states here very clearly, I am also the knower of the field of activity. So one should not mistake that individual soul and super soul are same. They always maintain their individuality. Okay, they will never become one. Some school of thoughts teaches that at a particular point of time, once they realize, okay, they will become one. Or sometimes they say there is no separate soul. It's all Paramatma only. Paramatma is engaged in this body and he is suffering this material body. So different conception, different philosophies they propagate. Anyway, we know individual soul and super soul, they are distinct. They can never become one. So there are different kinds of bodies and there are different owners of the bodies. There is one more. I am also the knower of the field of activity. One who misunderstands a rope to be a serpent is not in knowledge. No, it's also, at night, if we just step over a rope, we'll just get scared, thinking that it's a snake, isn't it? So that is not the right knowledge, because we are in ignorance, we don't know that is rope. We mistake that rope to be a serpent. So there are different kinds of bodies and there are different owners of the bodies, because each individual soul has its individual capacity for loading it over material nature. There are different bodies, but the Supreme also is present in them as the controller. The word Cha is significant, for it indicates the total number of bodies. That is the opinion of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana. Krishna is the super soul present in each and every body apart from the individual soul. And Krishna explicitly says that real knowledge is to know that the super soul is the controller of both the field of activities and the finite enjoyer. Okay. So ultimately, Krishna is the controller of nature, okay, and the field of activity is the body, and the finite enjoyer. We are also enjoying, but very, very small. He is infinite and we are finite. Okay. So we have to understand the body is there, the field of activity, okay, and the soul, the individual soul is there, and the super soul is there, the nature is there. Nature is also under the control of Krishna, and the individual soul is also under the control of Krishna. The body is a field of activity through which the individual soul can enjoy limitedly, not unlimitedly. So this is what, in this verse Lord Krishna explains. Very nice. So any comments or any questions? Any comments?
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
here it isn't the word cha is significant for it indicates the total number of bodies.
Yeah, and yeah, also, it's not that one body. There are so many living entities. Not only human bodies. There are so many living entities. Okay, there are aquatics. There are trees and plants. There are birds. There are animals, and in each and every species there are millions and billions of living entities. So in each and every one of them, Lord is there as Paramatma. Cha, and also
This cha, yeah, this cha there, where is this cha word actually in the text?
yeah, cha. One second.
Chapi,
Yeah, cha api. One
chapi.
second.
Oh, that cha.
Yeah, also.
Yeah, four. No, we read four, right?
Text 3.
Three. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, cha api. Kshetratnyam cha api. Cha means also. Api certainly. Okay. So that's the knower of the field. Cha also. Api certainly. Mam me. Vidhi no. Means he is also the knower of field. Not only in the human beings, but he is the knower of the field of all living entities. That's why, O son of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. Okay, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That's my opinion. So Krishna, is telling that's my opinion, Matam. He is not forcing Arjuna to accept whatever Krishna says. See the beauty of Krishna. Because Arjuna has freedom to accept or reject. It's not necessary that whatever Krishna says, Arjuna has to accept. He has his own independence. He has got his own freedom. So if he has faith in Krishna, he can accept it, or if he doesn't, he can reject it. So Krishna never says that is it. You have to believe. There is no other way. He doesn't say that. He is not a dictator. No, you have to do that. This is my opinion. If you want, you take it. If you don't want, leave it. But Arjuna knows Krishna is not an ordinary person. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. He will accept, but because he has already accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master, isn't it? In the second chapter itself, he has accepted Lord Krishna. Karpanya dosho pahada swabhava. He has accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master. So when you accept a guru, whatever the guru teaches, you have to accept it. Otherwise, there is no point of accepting a guru. Guru is superior. He has all the knowledge required to teach us. So we have to accept him. So whatever the guru says, we have to obey that instruction. So Arjuna knows very well that Krishna is not an ordinary person, and especially after seeing the Virat Roop, the universal form that he has exhibited in the 11th chapter, he has firm conviction that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. But still, Krishna never, command Arjuna, you have to believe me, I am Lord. He never said that. I am the Supreme Lord, you have to believe. So that's my opinion.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Madhavi.
Since faith came here, like I was listening to a preaching, Prabhu, and then it was said that knowledge, yes, we gain, like we read many spiritual books, or may it be Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, we are all reading it. But the person who has enough faith, only for them that knowledge will exactly, they will understand what is soul, what is super soul. But the underlying factor is the faith. You may read how much ever you want, you may spend your life reading so many books or whatever it is, but still the unflinching faith in Krishna should be there. Only then the exact knowledge we will be getting.
Yes. Right, Madhaji. Only we have that, faith, Shraddha, and the firm conviction in Krishna's instruction, then the required knowledge will be revealed automatically. It will be transferred into a heart, okay, by His mercy. On our own endeavor, with our own effort, we will not be able to get the knowledge. Even if how much ever we study, but if we are proud, oh, I have read everything, I have by all the slokas, I know so many verses, that means he doesn't know anything. Okay, one person, the person who has knowledge, you should be humble, humility personified. Okay, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Okay, Vidya Vinaya. So when you get knowledge, what quality you will exhibit? Vinaya. That is humility. Okay, and when you have that humility, and when you have that firm faith and conviction, the words of Lord Krishna, automatically whatever knowledge required for us, it will be revealed to us by Krishna. Right, Mataji? Anything else? Any other points? Anyway, I will stop here. Next week, I will take text number 4. So we can discuss for another 5 minutes, then conclude. Okay. So you can share your thoughts and comments, and if there is any questions. Okay. So I'll just close the recording, then we'll discuss. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय, गो प्रेमानंद।